So over the next week, there are going to be some opportunities for some real market moving announcements coming out of the US, the Eurozone, and also Japan, because we've got three interest rate announcements. So we've got the Federal Reserve talking, we've got the ECB with their release, and we've also got the Bank of Japan. What I want to do in this video right here is talk about what the expectations are and how potentially you can either position yourself ahead of those announcements, okay, to take advantage of some surprises, or how you're going to react dependent on what the release is and what the statements are following it. So if we just take a very quick look at the calendar here, we can see that on Wednesday, so all of these times are UK time, all right? So if you're in a different region of the world, you will have to go to the economic calendar and figure out what time it is in your particular region of the world. But these are UK time, British summertime at the moment. So Wednesday, we've got the Fed, that's coming out at 7 o'clock, and then the statement will come out at about 7:30. That's forecasted at the moment for us to have a 0.25% rise. So it's at 5.25% at the moment. The markets are expecting it to go up to 5.5. And actually, if we just jump across to the Fed Watch tool for a minute, we can see that this announcement here is pretty much 99%, nailed on, that we're going to get some sort of a hike at this meeting. So what the key will be what do they say about the next meeting and the meeting after? Are they going to be particularly hawkish? Are they going to be dovish? Or are they going to sort of remain where they've been for the previous meetings, which is to say that they're keeping an eye on inflation, but they're going to look at the data in order to make their decisions, which sort of puts us in a bit of no man's land. There isn't a lot of forward guidance. Then it's down to us to look at that data, to look at some of the PMI reports and everything, which are a little bit more forward looking, to try and decipher whether that data is going to be positive or negative, and hence whether we're going to get another rate hike or not. Now, as the markets, if we jump forward to here, we've got the ability to look at the September meeting. We can see that there's an 83% chance, at least the markets are pricing in an 83% chance that nothing happens at all at the next meeting. So they hike and then they do nothing. And then there's like a minute chance there that you can see 16% that maybe they'll do something, but really it's not a reality unless inflation starts to tick up again. And, the data is particularly strong, things like employment numbers and stuff. We look at November, we can see that, there's a little bit more of a chance of potentially a hike there. So it's gone from 16% to 27%, but there's still a 70% chance that the markets do nothing. If we then go out to December, we can see that, there's a little bit more of, there's an increased chance there again from these two, but there's a decreased chance, of the rates remaining the same, okay, in December. But what we've got is we've got a little bit of a chance that the interest rates start to come down. Now, previously, the Fed did say that they weren't expecting that they'll be cutting interest rates at least until the end of next year, but this is just what the markets are pricing in. All right, so that's from the Fed's perspective. The ECB, they are a little bit more hawkish, so I would expect them to certainly come out and raise interest rates, and I think that their forward guidance will also be more hawkish than the Federal Reserve. So from that perspective, there could be some plays that we could have there with the euro dollar. With the Bank of Japan, we're not really, they won't do anything to their interest rates. That much is pretty much clear. But what they could do is they could have a bit of an unwinding of their easy monetary policy by altering their yield curve control policy. All right, now we're not expecting that at the moment. But if they do that, then that will really leave the door open for quite a wild swing in something like the dollar yen. And that's what I'm talking about when I say, that we can position ourselves ahead of those particular announcements. So for the Fed announcement on Wednesday, for the ECB announcement on Thursday, if we jump across here, so let's say that the Fed announcement here, looking at the daily charts on the dollar yen, I would be looking for, if the Fed are overly hawkish, all right, which is not completely expected, then I'd expect this to rise over here. I wouldn't necessarily play this in the euro dollar, because you have to remember that with the euro dollar, they've got an announcement the very next day. Whereas with the dollar yen here, the Bank of Japan, it's actually 2 days later. So it gives it a little bit more room to be able to move between one announcement to the next. So if you try to express your view in the dollar, in the euro dollar, then the move might be a little bit more muted, because you've got the ECB announcement the next day. All right, does that make sense? Whereas if we do it in the dollar yen, then you've got a couple of days there. So if the Fed come out and they're more hawkish than expected, so they actually say, you know what, we're going to raise rates at the next meeting as well, or the meeting after that, then I'd expect the dollar yen to rise and rise aggressively. And you would trade, what you would do is you'd either, you could trade it on the daily here, or you could jump down to something like the 5-minute chart. Don't trade the initial announcement, okay? So, or don't trade the very first spike, but you wait for the first spike. And then what you might see is you get something like this, okay, then a little bit of consolidation, and then you trade the next one after that, all right? That's the way that I would play the reaction to those particular announcements. So Federal Reserve, dollar yen, we'd look to buy the dollar yen if they're more hawkish than expected. Going into the next day, so for the ECB announcement, looking at the euro dollar, let's go back to the daily chart for a minute here. Put all of that in view. So going to the euro dollar, we can see that it has broken out over here. It's pulled back to a previous level of resistance, which could act as support. As long as the market holds around this level, and then the ECB come out and they hike rates on Thursday, and they follow that up with a particularly hawkish statement, then I would look to jump in here and really look to pile in the position in the euro dollar, because what you would have in that instance is that you would have the view of both the Fed and the ECB, all right? So whereas with the Fed one on Wednesday, you've only got one side of the equation, with the euro dollar and on Thursday, once we've got both sides, then we really can position ourselves ahead of that particular call and know which way that we want to trade for the next, few weeks to, month or so. We'll sort of know the direction there, unless, of course, data comes out to the contrary and really sort of throws a spanner into the works. So euro dollar for the Thursday announcement, dollar yen for the Wednesday announcement, and then finally Friday, so for the Bank of Japan announcement, we would also be going across to the dollar yen as well. Now, this is one where potentially you could get in there ahead of the announcement. So instead of waiting for it, it's going to be 4 a.m. in the morning over here. So, probably won't be awake for that. But if you are and you're trading it, what you could do is you could take a dollar yen short position, okay, on that announcement there, and essentially look to get out immediately. So if they come out and they say that they're not making any changes, the move probably won't be that aggressive. So you can get out just taking a minor loss on that. However, if they were to surprise the markets and say that they're making some sort of a change, it's probably going to be, something that will strengthen the Japanese yen if they unwind their loose monetary policy. So that will then cause the dollar yen to sell off. So yen strength, the yen here is the quote currency, right? So that will cause that to sell off, and that will sell off quite aggressively. So what you have with these sorts of announcements where the markets are pretty much pricing in one particular outcome, and that outcome is near enough certain, it's a good opportunity to take the contrary view, because that if it comes out as expected, the markets probably won't move. If there is a surprise, the surprise is only going to be to one particular side. So if you get that surprise, then you have a really, really good opportunity to make a lot of money very, very quickly. Okay. So that wraps up my view for the week ahead. If you like this video, please comment below. Give me your thoughts on what you think the announcements will be. And also let me know if you like these specific analysis videos about certain economic events and things like that, because if you do, I will try to put more of them out there for you. If you're somebody that is new to the channel, or even if you've watched us for a while and you haven't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, you hit the bell so that you get a notification as and when I release videos like this. And also, if you don't have a strategy, if you're not sure how to go about profiting from the markets on a consistent basis, then jump across to my website. I'll put the link beneath the video here. Sign up for one of my masterclasses and get yourself started on the road to being able to trade profitably in the currency markets. Okay? I hope you enjoyed the video right here, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon. Take care now.